I have a question now from Daniel. Could you please clarify and explain the difference between time cropping and space cropping? Thanks. Okay, here's a big mounded bed of sweet potato. There are actually 3 rows here. And we time cropped it with Lab. It's a cover crop that dominated the landscape and controlled all the weeds, while the sweet potato took over. Now, we managed the Lab time crop, it's very rampant, and aimed the landscape towards dominance to sweet potato, which is our main crop in this situation. So we used a rampant cover crop to control the space over the time period of establishment of our food crop. Our food forest here has got pretty rampant as we've established. Now we've put in some contour footpaths and we've controlled the ground, and on the edges we've planted vetch. So this is all vetch, which is an annual winter cover crop for us. We've got vetch on both sides. Now that's just to control the edges while we get a pathway established we can mow, because this is one of our new pathway access points through the food forest. We've just got a food forest at that point of establishment. Before, it was all sweet potato and it was controlled like this. Now we haven't got the vetch in there yet, and you can see how untidy it is. We've actually put the vetch in and planted the edges of the vetch to cat's whiskers. That's this beautiful flower here called cat's whiskers. Now they're actually all the way along the edge, so it'll be a very beautiful edge all the way along here. We're passing here a lychee. It's actually my old farm dogs underneath that one, possum. Should produce some great lychees. And cat's whiskers and cat's whiskers. So we're putting in an ornamental flower edge and a ground cover control. So this is all part of holding that edge together while that annual plant is so rampant and easy to grow, and we get an edge established to the perennial ground cover in the food forest. Now here's a bed that was just planted yesterday to vetch, but it's got ginger as the perennial crop in there. So vetch will occupy the space. See the little vetch seeds here in the scatter mulch. They're already starting to, oh look there, they're already starting to germinate. They're on their way just since yesterday. They've got little roots going down. They'll control that space very fast, add nitrogen, but there's some old ginger there, but there's a whole new set of ginger roots, which eventually will look like this, totally dominated with ginger, which is actually a perennial. So we've got a perennial crop with a space controlled by an annual planting. So our annual will control our perennial. So long-term perennial, short-term annual, space in the perennial, and time in the annual. Here we have Lab controlling the ground while cassava gets established. And then we have bananas in the row next to them with cocoa yam. So we've got bananas interplanted with cocoa yam, and it has produced corn. The corn, there's actually one little cob left there. So we have some corn left just, but we had corn taking up the space quickly in time as a production, leading to a perennial, which is a root crop, cocoa yam, in between bananas, which are already producing. So it's long-term space, short-term yield, short space, time occupied over a short period, leading to long-term occupation. So it's time and space relationships that you're playing with a lot of the time. Here we have a mixed food forest being established up against a block wall, which has got a lot of thermal mass. And we've got ground covered sweet potato, which would be after we've had short-term ground cover legumes like vetch and cowpea, but now it's all perennial. And we have perennial leucaena being cut for mulch. But there's big trees coming through here. This is a food forest edge. So there will be a time when the trees will shade out even the sweet potato. But it's right next to a vegetable garden with raised beds. Now they're all short time cycles, so they're right next to each other. Short time cycle annuals, long-term perennials, and extremely long-term fruit trees. And as I back up, we're going underneath a perennial trellis of passion fruit. But all of these were initially spaces that were occupied by short-term annuals. Very fast, chosen because they're very rapid, very rampant, and very beneficial for the soil, nitrogen fixers.